Thank you for everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, like I said, at Leading with Energy. And we have a bonus participant that I am excited to bring on to the stage. And before we go there, just talking to people that have just faced different challenges in their life and how they have seen this challenge and taken what perspective and what helped them get through it. We all, and as you realize, as you heard, in our panel of speakers. We see the world through different lenses. We have different journeys, and all of that is spot on. So if mine's different than yours, it doesn't make me right or wrong. We are supposed to be different, and there is space for each of us to be and have our unique perspective. You are unique in who you are, and you are unique in who and your gifts that you have. And there's a reason for those gifts. It's not just about one one set of gifts that are more valuable than another set of gifts. There's nothing that's more valuable than another's. You are here by design, and you are here right on time for this time that you are in. So knowing what that is might be your question. You're like, well, what is that? Well, that's a great question. And all things that guide you, however you perceive that, all things that guide you are ready to show you that. But sometimes you just need to have a second set of eyes. And so working with me or somebody like me to say, okay, sometimes we're just too close to our own stuff. I know I have been, and I've connected with people to help me get through and to see what I don't see. So being able to have that second set of eyes, I offer you to take a look at what are you here to learn? What is here to discover about your energy gifts, your spiritual and intuitive gifts? We all have them. Sometimes they feel like Misty shared when we walk into a room and we can just feel, oh my gosh, I feel everything. There's a gift set that's showing you what your gift set is, at least one of them. It can be tied to your empathy, gift of having empathy. It's also going to be tied to a gift that we call, it's a gift that clears any kind of low, heavy frequency from a space. And using that gift allows you to, when it's your turn or when you're guided to use it, you're allowed to actually help shift the energy in a space. But when we don't understand that, it could just be, oh my gosh, I am so overwhelmed in crowds. So understanding who we are and how our energy gifts work help us unmystify some of the confusion and overwhelm that we faced. I have the ability to also feel and sense, and I thought they were my feelings. I thought what I was picking up within a crowd were my personal feelings, but it wasn't mine. Most of the time they weren't even mine, but I didn't realize that. So I was in a battle, and we can often do a lot of work around like mindset work. Like, okay, I've got to rethink my mind. I got to change how I think. I got to have this different perspective. And that's not wrong. I'm not saying that if you're doing that and it's supporting you to change that. I'm speaking to that if it's not even our feeling and we're trying to rewrite it, or it's not even our thought and we're trying to rewrite it, we just cause more confusion, and then we can often fail at trying to be more positive, or why am I jealous of that when I don't think I am, but I am. And so we can think there's something wrong with us and think, oh my gosh, I have this battle going on, when often we just have an intuitive gift. I have felt others and how they're feeling, and it's not even mine. But understanding how to work with that gift, because really, if I can say, okay, I get that that's not mine, but I can walk into a space and go, okay, they're feeling uncomfortable. Let me just hold a little love around them, or however you're guided. This gift becomes a great way of working and supporting people. If you're a nurse, if you're a chiropractor, if you're a teacher, it has all its different looks depending on what your other gift sets are. When I figured out that those weren't even my feelings, most of them, I was free. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been so confused. So I want to bring those examples to you so that you can realize how maybe Some of you there's some gifts in you that you aren't understanding, or they're overwhelming you. But by understanding how to work with them, it can relieve a lot of stress and bring clarity. And as we brought up in the discussion, is that's your internal compass as well. So knowing that your compass is there waiting to guide you, just getting connected to it. So I want to bring on our special guest, Milan, who has experienced his journey. He's going to share that with us and how he is leading from his heart, how he leads with energy and is building his space, his life, his career with passion and fire in his belly. So we're going to bring Milan on stage. Hi, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
And we're having a good day. It is
Awesome.
fantastic to have you on this platform, leading with energy, a new way of navigating. Um, Tell us a little bit, Milan, about your journey, your story. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, as it says down there, I'm Lord Milan. Lord is not just me being fancy, but actually my dad's family are English nobles. So there's a castle in our family that nobody wanted to claim, and I was like, hey, I'll claim it, and add a little bit of fun to my story. But I'm the founder of Day One, and it's a mindset and relationship program that really I developed first and foremost for myself, because after my injury at 16 and I was left with no feeling and no movement after a diving accident, I needed something that was going to give me that boost, right? To live a new life. And I realized that the thoughts and my words about my life were the reasons that my life was so difficult at that time. And really, for the first time, began to purposely use my thoughts and words to create just a better picture and tap into better emotions and really start to co-create my life with God. And fast forward 2 decades, I'm running this coaching business now and teaching people all over the world how to make their imagination reality, and really just to do it from day one, right? Like treat today like it's the first day of your life, and really go for it.
So, was that easy? When you said I decided to really take a hold of my thoughts, redirect my thoughts, connect to my guidance, what you're calling your guidance, was that super easy? Did that just come natural to you, or what that look like?
I wouldn't say it was easy in a way, because like I knew, okay, if I don't do something very different now, I already know what my reality is going to be. Nothing.
Mm.
Like the doctor said, you never have feeling or movement ever again below your collarbone. And I thought, well, if I do nothing, that's what I have. So like I can do something. And really the willingness of like, okay, what if I can beat this? What can I do about this? And I knew that the people of education, or the people of influence in my life at that time, weren't really giving me any solutions. So I had to go
Mhm.
within, right? And I had an outer body experience, and I got that guidance of saying, hey, your thoughts and words and actions are the things that are dictating your life. And I
Mm.
took that advice and just started to live with it. Um, Life doesn't have to be easy for it to be doable, but having that in my back pocket, so to speak, of my thoughts and words about the situation are going to dictate how I feel about it, really was the thing that I needed.
Okay. So you were in an accident, correct?
Right.
And what emotional process, people go through different, we go through the moments that define us. I was listening, I was in a small group with John Maxwell, and I appreciate his teaching and his the different systems that he's developed. And he said there's moments that define us. Was this one of those moments for you?
Absolutely. Right. And at the time, I didn't think that, hey, I'm super thankful for this. But looking back, I can be very thankful for it, right? Because it slowed things down enough for me to really pay attention to what my life was and what I was doing about it. And for me to really choose to purposely be an active leader in my life, rather than just like take suggestions from other people to do random things. And it slowed down a lot of the noise too, because I think a lot of us, especially these days, you're bombarded with 8,000 ways to do everything, right?
Mm.
Go online for 10 minutes, you'll feel like you're not doing enough, or what you're doing is totally wrong, right? But it's being able to take that time where it's quieter and really decide and really listen to about like what feels the best and what prompts you. But it's definitely a defining moment, to take me from that place to where I am now. It's clearly now that it was for me, not against me.
Yeah. And you said you lead yourself. Can you kind of speak a little more to that? What do you mean when you say you lead you?
Well, I think, like I said, all of us, our thoughts and our words about everything is the basis of our entire life. And, I can't love other people if I don't love me. I can't
Mm,
expect things from other people if I don't expect those things from myself. Right. And I think that creates an authenticity that just becomes contagious. And I think that's why it's so easy for me to connect with a lot of different people, regardless of their life path or mine. It's because I'm living an authentic story. And I think we all are attracted to that. And, leading myself, really, it comes in, well, I've inherited these ideas about money, for instance, from my parents. Like, okay, well, what do I say about money? Well, I think money is this and I think money is that. I'm like, okay, well, then I'll go that way. And really being able to decide for yourself, okay, what are my thoughts and words about this? What do I believe about this situation? And using that as my guiding light. And understanding too that there is always going to be people that don't understand everything that you do, but I think that's not the point. The point is to do things on purpose and do things with authenticity and do it long enough to really see the results.
yeah. And you speak to the authenticity and it's not going to be cookie cutter. You're not going to, it's not about pleasing. It's about, wow, what's my truth in this? What's
Yeah.
my feeling in this? How did you define, I mean, how did you find that? Because I know in speaking with people, that's one of those things. It's like, I want to get down to my most, I remember the time in my life where I said, I want to get down to the most authentic version of myself. And I want to work from that. Like I was amazed at how many layers weren't me.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. But like, I don't think that's any of our fault. Right. We're all born into a story that's already going. Right.
Yeah.
Like we didn't
That's
choose
a
our
good
parents. We
point.
don't choose our ethnicity. We don't choose, when or where or how we're born. Right. We don't choose those environments, but it's a natural course of things. Like in neuroscience, like between age 0 and 7, our formative years is just when we're just absorbing everything, about, religion, about God, about bodies, about money, about sex, about everything.
Everything.
And after that, though, it's like, okay, well, now that I've absorbed that and I have this as my basis, what do I believe about it? Do I feel okay with it? And I think oftentimes we discount the power of discomfort, right? Like you
Mm.
feel uncomfortable in a situation for a reason. Why? And taking the time to examine that rather than just brush it off like, oh, it's the way that we do things. Like, is it? The way that we
Okay.
do things started with somebody, and now it's like every so often I think being brave enough to question those things and decide for yourself, then you can live on with that authenticity. But I think it comes with doing things on purpose. Am I just paying my bills and going along, or am I doing these things on purpose with a goal in mind? And I think the more that you do on purpose, the more that you can live a purposeful life.
And that comes from authenticity, doesn't
Yeah.
it? That itself comes from authenticity. So if we're looking to lead a purposeful, meaningful, add value to the planet and others around me, I mean, whatever language people would choose, but that drive, then it would come from us. If it comes from us and our intention, it's going to be purposeful,
Yeah.
intentional. I mean, I can see the dots. I don't know if I articulated that well, but it was like, oh my gosh, I see the dots, how those two ride together.
Right.
Authenticity
And
and
it's so much
purposefulness.
easier after that. Right. And I remember I was fortunate enough to meet Bob Proctor and spend a little bit of time with him before he
Oh,
passed a few years ago.
cool.
Connection from, a friend of a friend, how these things happen sometimes.
Wow.
And one of the first things he said to me was, he's like, I never remember anything. And I'm like, what do you mean? Of course you remember stuff. He's like, well, when you're living one story of your life, you never have to remember anything because that's the story you tell everybody. And a lot of people are telling multiple people multiple versions of themselves so that they're always having to remember where they left off. He's like,
Yeah.
but you don't really have to remember anything if it's true. It's just the only
Mhm.
version that you know. And I'm
Yeah.
like, huh. And I think that takes away a lot of the anxiety and things that we feel because we're telling one story. And when you get down to it, like a lot of the greats, like even John Maxwell, right? You'll hear the same stories over and over because he's like, yeah, these are my stories. I'm not telling 10 different versions of myself to 10 different people. And it's a lot easier to live that when you decide, okay, who am I? And I'm operating from that identity no matter what I'm doing. Right. And I think every challenge comes from an identity issue. And it's like, if you can get down to the identity that you identify with, then things are a lot more fluid.
Say that again. So the challenge comes from the identity. Say that again. That was brilliant.
Yeah. The challenge comes from, like, all challenges come from an identity issue, right? Like I'm not where I want to be because I don't see myself excelling that far. Right. It's my chosen. I haven't chosen my identity yet in this area. Right. So like for me, for example, like, yes, I've been using a wheelchair for 2 decades, but I don't see myself as limited in that capacity. I see myself as a professional figure outer, like a PFO, is what I always tell my clients is like, yeah, I'm a PFO. So like this challenge just means that I get to figure out more stuff in order to get to where I am. Right. Like I see myself there. And I always tell people, if you can't see yourself there, then don't start yet. Like, see yourself doing the thing and then start. That way, when you go into it, the challenges that show up, you accept those as a means to continue to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. And that's what you're walking with people on right now. You put together a course and you help people get that knowing. Can you talk to us about that course?
Absolutely. It's like I said, that the day one mindset, the day one framework I created for myself. I'm like, okay, I've never been in a wheelchair before. I've never been in this situation before. My body's not working. I'm in a new city, in a new state. Like, it was a year after I'd moved to Michigan with my parents. And I'm thinking, okay, well, all of this is new. And I'm going to college for the first time. I need something. And I pieced that together, bit by bit to now what it is. And it's really like this 12-week program. I even, it's 12 hours, essentially 12 hours to get to, the life that you imagine. And it equips you to not only speak things into existence, but understand the universal laws and the power of your imagination. Like these skills and these things that we take for granted that we were all born with, the ability to imagine and to speak and to understand these things. And once you understand that, then it's amazing what coincidences and ideals and solutions come to you because you're living in alignment from then on. So it's not just like, okay, I'm going to give you skills for this situation, but like I said, it affects your identity. And then you're operating with that chosen identity so much so that the breakthroughs have to happen. Like things become inevitable. And one of the big things in my program is the phrase, of course. Like when good things happen, of course. When challenges happen, of course they do. Because it's just an opportunity for me to prove myself again. And like we reword and revamp the way that we see challenges so that we're always bigger than our circumstance, no matter what. So it's like that chosen identity, that superhero identity. Superheroes aren't worried about the challenge. They're concerned with who they are. Like in the Avengers movies, it only took 7 superheroes to vanquish and save the universe, right? So it's like, okay, what about me? If I become a superhero, what can I do? It's like we end up walking with so much purpose and power. And I've seen people do amazing things, like become best-selling authors and during that time, double their salaries in that time, have children after years of infertility during that time. It's because they're operating with a new identity for the first time, a chosen one, usually for the first time.
Yeah. And that's where the superpower is. I mean, we've got so much, we got so much more in us that's untapped, isn't there? So much in us. And so part of getting to know who we are is really taking that out. And if you will, unleash it, get it out there, let it create. It's part of that creation, isn't it? Is by really getting down to that most authentic part, knowing it, and then taking action, like just taking that it takes bravery. What I'm hearing is it's from you. I'm like, oh my gosh, that takes bravery. And as you take those steps of faith in yourself and in however people would language their guidance, that builds momentum, but it just brings this like something you couldn't even, you thinking you're imagining it, but then it just can just blossom into this something bigger than yourself, something bigger than you thought, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I was capable of that until you start that.
And one of the things too, I joke with people, you don't have what you want because you're not attractive enough, right? But like thinking a certain way, like it makes you more attractive. It's
Yeah.
scientifically proven like attracts like. So as soon
Yeah.
as I match myself with the chosen desire or where I feel compelled, then things, solutions, and people and relationships and ideas will show up to match that, to prove that right.
Yeah.
And there's something in all of our brains called the RAS system, the reticular activating system, if you want
Yeah.
to be technical about it, that its only job really is to prove us right. So the thing that we dwell on, good or bad, it's like, oh, let me go to work to prove these things right and to bring them to you. So knowing that, it's like, oh, well, let me just be clear about the things that mean the most to me and would make me feel fulfilled and achieved and, just put a smile on my face. Then now I can attract those things and let my RES system go to work for me rather than just against me. But I think a bit of knowledge in there of knowing how things work for your benefit, then it's like, oh, now I can cash in on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see the Bible as a real practical manual. And one of the things that it says is, people perish for lack of knowledge. And it's
Yeah.
like, and it's not knowledge about everything, but it's about the useful things that can impact my story and impact others. Because it's amazing what I've been able to do with my life, despite the wheelchair. But I think, in some ways, because of the wheelchair. But if I called my parents right now and said, "Hey, mom, I'm going to go to space next week," they would say, "Of course you are." Like the doubt is just not there because they know that whatever I desire in using this same formula, then like that, the world, the universe, whatever you want to call it, has to bend to that reality. And I think when we look back in the past, we've seen these amazing technological advances in humanity and wonder, how the heck did they do that? But it's because they eliminated their doubt because they understood who they were and they
Yeah.
understood what they had access to.
Yeah. Emphasize that they understood what they had access to. And there's so much we underestimate and understand. We just don't understand the capacity that we have in here and what we connect to
Yeah.
and what can be and what can happen. Beautiful. Thank you. So, Lord Milan, I haven't used your Lord introduction. What do they call? Is that a title? How does that go?
It is. Yep.
You
Yep.
got to
Lord
educate me
Milan
here.
is my official title. Lord
Lord Milan.
Milan
Okay.
Loiseau of Hugen Manor, if you want to do the whole thing.
Oh, that's awesome. I've just
It gets
never
it gets a
gotten the
bit fancy,
opportunity.
but yeah, a lord or a lady is just someone who owns or has access to a castle
Okay.
under nobility. So
Under no God. So, Lord Milan, you are walking with people, helping them find and connect to that internal strength, find and connect that knowing of who they are, how to figure that out, how to step into their personal power and create from that space, see it, create it, believe it, and so much more. So, how can they find you? Let's get them connected to you.
well, the easiest way, and it's a one-stop shop, is simply going to day1mindset.com. It's DAY the number one mindset.com. And that has, access to my Instagram. You can even schedule a free clarity call. So it's me and you, 20 minutes on the call. Let me see where you are in your life. What kind of desires do you have? And let's start opening up those doors. Because as soon as you just let a little bit of light in, life gets a bit more exciting. Life gets a little bit more personal and you become like that first person player in your own story. And once that light comes in, it's like, well, how far can I open that door? What else can I do? And it's just an awesome thing to do. And I love what I do now. And I think it's interesting that one of my biggest concerns after my injury was, how can I be valuable again? I was so used to being valuable as an athlete, to my coaches, to, reaching the stuff off the top of the fridge for my mom, right? But now the way that I'm the most valuable is showing people their own value and power and just watching them create miracles on their own behalf. It's awesome.
That is awesome. And you've got a system that works. You're proof of that. So we're going to make sure everybody, you can grab it off the screen here, or we're going to email that to you. So you can connect to Lord Milan and work with him in his program and find your superpower and the dreams that you've been wanting to create. This is awesome. I'm so glad you were able to join us here, share your information, share your heart, share your passion, your vision for what people can do with the right clarity and guidance. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here on Leading with Energy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. So that's a wrap. Thank you for being here. with leading with energy and new intelligence. Get connected to that part of you and navigate with confidence. You'll know your next step. You'll have that peace of and living in your most authentic space. Okay, we look forward to meeting you in person. Reach out to me at janelle@janellrae.com so that we can have a conversation. You've got questions, I would love to sit down and answer those for you. Again, at janelle@janellrae.com. I look forward to meeting you.